Okay, much smaller number. Okay, well hopefully this will show you why you should be actively using LinkedIn. I think that's, in a lot of the students that I talk to, most of the time it's just kind of a knowledge thing more than it is like, I hate that stupid platform or whatever. So the landscape's crowded, right? Every day there's a new website that's vying for your attention. There's hundreds of social platforms. The big three, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter for the most part. So there's three core components that I want to touch on today about LinkedIn. So one is you and your network, whether or not you realize you have a network. The second is, so I use this broad term of organization. All I mean is like there's circles or connections that you have in your life that you're going to utilize for different things, right? So alumni discovery. So that you could substitute your ADI network, right? So alumni that you've met with, fellow discovery ambassadors, that would be your organization network. So you're going to land a job in a company, right? You may be looking for clients or prospects for that company. How do you utilize LinkedIn for kind of your purposes with your organization? And the last thing is finding the right people. So I know one of the most consistent things that students at UCSD express is they want to be connected to a mentor. They want to find someone that's gone down the career path that they want to go down or has experienced things that they believe they're going to experience. There's ways to do that on LinkedIn that you may not be aware of that I want to make sure you know how to take advantage of, as well as companies. How do you find the right company, the company that seems to fit with your personality and that sort of thing, based off of LinkedIn. So really quick, how LinkedIn is built. So there's kind of a social theory that's been built. Professor James Fowler is in the political science department. He talks about this idea of connections. And when you draw kind of concentric circles, you start with people that you're directly connected to, right? So Ryan and I work together. I'm directly connected to Ryan. And then Ryan, so that's my first level connection, is me and Ryan. The next level beyond that is someone that Ryan knows that I may not know, Emily. So Ryan knows Emily, but I don't know Emily. So Emily's my second connection, because Emily's a connection of a connection, right? And Emily knows Cassandra. So Cassandra is a third level connection. So she's the connection of a connection of a connection, right? So then when you start putting numbers to these circles, for me, this was a couple months ago. So 531 people that I'm directly connected to, which connects me to 106,000 Emily's, which connects me to 4.7 million Cassandras. So my network is actually much, much larger than I don't know 4.7 million people, but when you map out my network like that, I do know 4.7 million people. Right? So this is where connecting with people becomes very, very important. Because if I only knew Ryan, and Ryan only knew Emily, and Emily only knew Cassandra, the network would be made up of 4 people. Right? So from the start, I know it's not like Facebook where you're occasionally going through and deleting all your friends or whatever, and or you're friending everybody because they just randomly send you something. LinkedIn, you really need to be strategic about what your first level connections look like. So for me, the threshold for me is they have to be, if I'm going to connect with them, I either have to already talk to them face to face, they have to be an alum, so these are all ors, not and, right? So met with them face to face before, they're an alum, had a phone conversation, but when someone randomly messages me, like wants to connect, I ignore them, right? Because I want to keep that network pure, because the less pure your first level connections are, the less pure your network is, right? Because you're going to be connected to all these other people that you're not really connected to. That makes sense? Any questions on that? Okay. So back in the day, they used to have these things called Rolodexes. Everyone know what a Rolodex is, right? It's that little circle of business cards that you get someone's business card and you just plug it into a Rolodex. the thing is that when you used to collect business cards, within a year, 2 years, 3 years, half those business cards are no longer valid. People move companies, people change jobs, and you forget how you're connected to those people. So if you go under contacts up on the navigation, is this working? Yeah, kind of. It's blinking. Okay. I don't know why it's blinking. That's kind of weird. Oops. Okay. All right. Whatever. Connect. Contacts at the top. If you go under contacts, it lists out all of your connections. You can start to organize your connections. People that I've met with through Discovery, fellow classmates, whatever. You can categorize it however you want. But the idea is that at any moment in time, you can go look at who's working at what company, right? So you can drill down on that menu that says companies, and I find I have 15 people that I know that work at Qualcomm. So if I ever wanted to think about hearing about Qualcomm or find alumni at Qualcomm, it'd be really easy. You can do the same thing by location, industry, that sort of thing. So this is Armin's profile. So Armin for me is a first level connection. So if I, let's say for the very first time I connect with Armin, or you're connecting with an executive, right? You connect with them, you get to know them, you connect with them on LinkedIn, and the executive says, hey, here's my personal email. If you want to ask me anything, email me here. Here's my phone number. Here's my contact information. And he tells you one or two things in that meeting that are extremely valuable to know. You really want to remember that, right? Where would you normally keep that kind of information? Your phone contact, in your phone contacts, yeah. Okay. May not write it down. Maybe just say, okay, I hope I remember next time. So actually within LinkedIn, there's a function that you can utilize to make sure you're tracking all that information, that at any moment you could easily export it to an Excel document or your phone or whatever you want to do. So under contact information, since this thing isn't really working, under contact information right here, this is on every first level connections profile. Right here it says view and edit contact info. So when I pop that up, it pops up a window, right? And it says, here's Armin, here's this title, here's this email. I can add another email. I can add a phone number. I can add an IM. I was in the 1990s. I can add an address, website. I can add his birthday if that's important, right? So in sales, if you were in sales, this kind of information is gold because you send someone an email on their birthday, they're going to be like, what, you remember it? Especially if it's not on Facebook, right? And then other information. So who's his manager? Who's the person that keeps his schedule? Oh yeah, that's Shannon. So if he references Shannon, I remember who Shannon is. And then I can add contact notes right here, right? Armin loves basketball and mentioned XYZ in our meeting. So you can keep all that information so that at the point in time that you need to connect with Armin, next time, you're not going in cold again. You remember the things that you talked about in your last meeting. Because when you guys are submitting a contact report, you have a lot of great information. I don't recommend you put your contact reports in every single contact notes. But important stuff that you want to remember about specific people, utilize that function. So how your network gets organized. So like I said, I have a kind of operating system in my mind about my first level connections, right? So these are all my first level connections. And this is how they're all connected to one another. So this begins to map out circles in my own life that that have emerged that I could probably articulate, but I didn't know these connections and these networks are so thick, right? So if everyone in this room connected with one another, you'd probably be this circle. Or if I connected with all of the Discovery ambassadors that have ever been in ADI, they'd show up here because likely you guys are all going to be connected to one another, right? So for me, these are all people I went to school with. This is my 2003 to 2006 time at UCSD, and people that I worked with in an on-campus organization 4 years after school. So the green are my peers and colleagues that happen to also work with a lot of alumni from UC San Diego. These are all my classmates. And you can see the lines start to change colors. The colors start to represent those patches of networks. So the orange are all my classmates. The purpley kind of color are people that also went to UCSD that know my classmates. And then these are colleagues from a job, these are colleagues from a job, these are colleagues from a job. At these two jobs, I wasn't there very long. It was like summer jobs, so my network's much smaller. Here, I was here 4 years. And then I came to UCSD, and I joined staff with UCSD. So then, as you drill down into this network, you begin to see major players and influencers within your network. People that are kind of supernovas in a way, right? The super, super connected. Of course, Armin's really connected because of his position and how long he's been here. So most of the staff that I know, he knows as well. So the way this starts to become valuable is you start to see people in your network that could really be helpful to connecting you to other people, right? People that know a lot of people, or people that you may not be aware of. Make sense? You guys tired? It's 4 o'clock. I'm just seeing. Okay. Yes? Is that a mapping feature? Is that like a premium feature or something? No. So everything I'm showing you, you can all access without paying a dime. There's a thing called LinkedIn Labs. You have to Google, ironically enough, you have to Google LinkedIn Labs to find it. But there's a bunch of kind of beta stuff that they have on the side, and this is one of them. And you can just enter your password and it maps your network. So you all can do this. The other major network that you guys have, and I hope you've realized this in your time as Discovery Ambassadors, is if you go to linkedin.com/alumni, it will take you to this dashboard that shows you where all alumni from UC San Diego are that have a profile on LinkedIn. So there's about 85,000 of 150,000 alumni. So over half of our alumni have a profile on LinkedIn. So you can drill down on any one of these areas to find more information about that network, right? So if I want to find all the people that work in San Francisco at Google, it'll break down, here's all the different roles and functions that they're in, a lot of engineers, a lot of IT people, and then it'll list out every alum in that network, right? So you could potentially see all of the Googlers in San Francisco that are on the creative side of Google, and it'd be like 50, right? And then they'd give you the names of those 50 alumni. So students are always wanting to connect with alumni and figure out where they are and what they're doing and hear about their job and that sort of thing. This is one of the easiest ways. Everyone can access this. The one thing to look out for is make sure you change the dates up here, because it'll automatically select to the dates that you have on your profile. So for me, it'd be 2003, 2006, and then I check include people with no dates. But make sure you change it, so you can change it to 1900. It's not going to make a difference, but really the first graduating class was in the 60s, and to 2011, 2012, whatever you want. Questions on this? Yes.
Sorry, was that a group page, or is that just the way you filtered it?
This, you just go to linkedin.com/alumni, and then this is what shows up.
Okay. Whatever school you have. Okay. Are you able to like message them through that, or do you have to?
Okay, so here's one thing I would recommend as a best practice for you utilizing LinkedIn. Don't use the message feature inside of LinkedIn. What I would recommend is you take this name, Henry DeVries, and you Google his name, and you find his work email, and you email him at his work email. That way, A, it's not creepy, and B, you're much more likely to get a response. And I was told this from someone that works at LinkedIn. He said, our response rates for our in-mails and all that are atrocious. They're really bad. It's pretty rare that someone responds internally, but especially if you don't know them already. If you know them, it's a different story. But that's what I would do in that situation. Yes?
So in a case where like you don't have an alumni's contact info, is this how you go about it? Like Google, find work email, work phone, and then contact them?
Sure. Yeah, if you were looking for someone very specific, yeah, that's how I would do it. Yeah.
I was trying to do this a lot, and I couldn't find work emails very effectively. How would you recommend doing that?
What field were you looking in? What like?
Like,
What
'cause
kind
I
of?
was finding like I had someone that I wanted to contact through email. I knew their LinkedIn, I knew their Facebook, but
Yeah.
I couldn't message them through. I didn't want to message them through either of those. And then so I knew their job, but then I couldn't find their work email. Like, is there a more effective way I can say something against the church? Or
Yeah, so some organizations, it's like first name dot last name at company.com. Some companies are, by the nature of those people's positions, like SAIC, very, very difficult. Northrop Grumman, very difficult to find those people by Googling them because they're in defense and because people are, if they found their information, they would do stuff to them, right? So, but somewhere like Google, depending on their position, if they're a recruiter for Google, they probably don't want their information out there. So just recognize by some individual's nature, it's going to be better for you to connect and send a message in your connection. That's what I would do. So if you can find it no other way, they're trying to hide, I would ask to connect with them or be introduced from someone that knows them, right? So if you see that I know Henry and you want to meet with Henry, send me a message and ask for an introduction to Henry. And that functionality is built into LinkedIn as well. Or if you're not, no one's connected to them, send them a message and in that, or ask them to connect, and in that connection, say, this is why I want to connect with you. So one example of that I've experienced is Andy Sandlin is the Armin at Carnegie Mellon. He's kind of a thought leader in alumni relations, and so I was looking at his LinkedIn profile because I wanted to connect with him and bounce some ideas off of him. And in his profile, he said, if you would like to connect with me, please send me a message explaining why you wanted to connect with me. And it's not pretentious, right? It's just he wants to be real about who he's connected with and who he's not. So I sent him a message and asked him to connect. And he's like, you are like the first person that's done that. I would love to connect with you. But people, honestly, on their profiles, you'll get a sense of A, how active they are on LinkedIn, and B, how willing they'd be to connect. Good. Okay, we're doing good. Okay, the last thing on this, LinkedIn is changing the landscape of what job searches look like. One of the things you guys probably have heard is it's not, your resume can be incredible, but if you don't know somebody, it's much harder to get your resume looked at, right? That's the challenge, is getting your resume in front of the right person. And so one of the core concepts that we've that we've been teaching our alumni and try and work with our students to realize is you build your network before you need it. Build your network before you need it. Because if you start building your network with the premise that I'm building it to get a job, your network's not going to be what you want it to be, right? So that's why this job is incredible, because it gives you a reason to build your network, and you get paid to build your network, right? So the way that LinkedIn's really changing kind of the future of the way that people look for jobs is I can go on Simply Hired and say I'm an engineer that wants to find a job in San Diego. So I look for an engineering job in San Diego. And over here, it says LinkedIn has a widget that you can turn on, right? So I choose to turn it on, I enter my password, whatever, and all of a sudden, my network maps to all these open jobs. So I'm seeing that at Broadcom, a guy named Jeff in my network knows Yelissa, who's a senior staff program manager at Broadcom. So all of a sudden I now have jobs that are posted in my network laid right next to each other, right? Or Steve Massa knows Chris, and Chris is a strategic sales manager at Academia, right? So again, this is why your network and building these connections are so important, because now all of a sudden you don't need to think about how can I get my resume looked at. You can start to contact these people that you're seeing, right? Questions on this? Okay, so then finding the right people. So we'll do a little live demo here.
So could we just add you since we're doing that?
Yes. As long as I'm not your only connection.
Okay.
Okay. So, man, this screen's kind of tripping me out. Okay, this is not going to work. How can I change this at all?
Can you what?
Change this? I need to get over here, but it's not allowing me to scroll over here.
Go to the bottom, click that little arrow.
Oh yeah.
Wait, go up. No, sorry. But that'll work, yeah.
Okay, so if I clicked on advanced search, so say what I really am passionate about doing is finding alumni that are super into basketball and are also really successful CEOs. I'm that specific about who I want to reach out to, right? So I'm going to look up in the keyword basketball. I want them to be in San Diego, let's say within 35 miles. Hopefully they're much closer. I'm going to say a CEO, current or past, and their school is UC San Diego. Doesn't matter what profession they're in, okay, didn't find anyone. Too specific. So what about anyone that's into basketball in San Diego? There we go. So I see a couple first and second level connections, right? So why is it what?
Why is it Will up there?
He doesn't have it in his profile, right? So I see Jordan, and Jordan has basketball listed as a specific interest within his profile. Another way, I'll do that one was a little weird of an example. Let's do someone that's, someone give me something to find.
Ballet.
Okay. Ballet. Okay, so show me CEOs that are into ballet.
Oh, you go, see?
So 65 results. So then I can see if any of them are alumni, because I didn't specify that. No, none of them are alums.
But if they have University of California, San Diego instead of UC San Diego.
It picks everything up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's starting to pick everything up now.
Okay.
So you could put UCSD, UC San Diego, all that. It should all come back the same. Yeah. So anyway, you could potentially look for whatever you want to look for. That's the whole point. The other thing is you can search by industry, you can search by groups, you can search by your relationship to them, and that sort of thing. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, so someone tell me a company that you're interested in working for one day. Novartis? I can see. I don't know if this is Novartis Pharmaceuticals. I'm assuming it is. Is this Novartis Pharmaceuticals?
Yeah.
You know, that is. Okay, so it shows you your connections to that company, right? So I have a bunch of second level connections, 52. There's 66,000 employees at Novartis. And here you can see about the company, all the jobs that they're listing. On the career section, it kind of gives you details about what it's like to work there, right? So where they came from, so other companies that you might want to consider looking at as well. a company that has a pretty robust company page is Qualcomm. So at Qualcomm, you can go to careers, scroll down. Some of them have videos. It'll also update any feeds, so any updates from from people that are working at that company. And then this other feature is pretty cool. It has insights. So it shows you basically how many alumni are people that are starting to advance in the organization. So that could be a good entree to start talking to somebody about what it's like to work in the company. So, hey Edgar, just saw you were promoted to vice president. Congratulations. I'd love to talk about how you made it there, or something like that. And then former employees that work there that are in your network. And then again, similar companies that you might also want to look at. Make sense? Questions on that? All right. Did that. Okay. So we at the Alumni Association are a part of a pilot program with LinkedIn where we get to kind of beta test some of the new and innovative things that LinkedIn's doing, as well as give them feedback on ways that they could evolve kind of the platform and the product. So that's why we've gotten an inside look at a lot of the stuff that they're doing, which has helped inform kind of some of our strategy. So our LinkedIn group has grown from 12,000 a year ago, a little over a year and a half ago, to almost 19,000 now, 18,000. And it's a pretty active community. The other community is Tritons Helping Tritons. You as Discovery Ambassadors are allowed to join both of these groups. The general student body can join Tritons Helping Tritons, but only alumni can join the UCSD alumni group, except for Discovery Ambassadors. So make sure to join that group, and in the message say, I am a current Discovery Ambassador when you're requesting to join. That's going to be a great place if you mind the group. So someone tell me an alum that they'd be interested in talking to. Anyone?
Mark Sester.
Well, not a specific. I mean, like the type of alum that you'd be interested in talking to. Venture capital. Okay. So once you're in this group, you can go to search. Wait, is this the right area? Go to members. Advanced search, yeah, thank you. And then under industry, I don't know if venture capital would be considered an industry as much as technology, right?
Yeah.
So what I would do is search for venture. So all these folks are involved in some sort of venture capital. So these are, yeah, how many alumni are here? 606 out of 18,000. So you could even specify, I want to know everyone in San Diego, right? Location. Or you could do the Bay Area. Let's do the Bay Area.
Or LA, if we're trying to find sister, huh?
Sure. I don't know if he's in our LinkedIn group. And then you guys can see how it works, but you guys can drill down from there. And the primary reason to go back to this pilot program that we're a part of, as a part of this program, we look to make sure that students are aware how to use the platform. So this kind of setting is part of our partnership with LinkedIn. We help them create better tools. So they're actually in beta right now in a whole new functionality within LinkedIn that'll come out in probably a year to a year and a half. But UCSD is kind of at the front edge or cutting edge of that beta. Our goal is to make sure that everyone has profiles, that our alumni are connected to our community. So when you're in a meeting talking to an alum, make sure they're connected to our LinkedIn community. And then ultimately, we want to empower connections between students and alumni. We hope that our students are reaching out, not just to ask for a job, ask for an informational interview, say, I want to learn about your career, say, I'd like to meet with you for alumni discovery, but use the platform. Questions? Yes?
So LinkedIn has that feature where you can view the people that have viewed your profile.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recommend like leaving that public or leaving that private? Because like this sounds like it's like a lot of like looking at people, and so
It's up to you. I mean, I don't care if someone knows that I looked at their profile. I mean, I have nothing to hide, right? That I was searching for people like them. So I don't think an alum would be freaked out if a student was looking at their profile, you know. So up to you. It's kind of just recognize if someone's anonymous and they're looking at your profile, they cannot see who's looking at their profile. So perhaps an alum would look at your profile for you looking at their profile, and that wouldn't happen if you were anonymous. One of the other things I want to make sure you guys do is, I looked at a number of your profiles, and under your, there's a whole functionality that I meant to talk about that I didn't. So under your profile, you have jobs listed, and hopefully Alumni Discovery Ambassador is one of them. Your current title probably should be Alumni Discovery Ambassador, unless you have a specific reason for it not to be. Otherwise, it's going to show up as cashier or whatever other jobs that you have. Yeah.
What if I have a more years?
Unless you have something else that you have it
Okay.
for, right? I'm just saying
Like,
the
would
default.
you care if it wasn't?
No, not at all. But recognize that the default for most people, they don't recognize that that's like the title that most people see. What's passed out is what others have used to describe their experience under these jobs. So these job summaries. Some people bullet it, some people write it in a paragraph, but I would recommend adding something underneath your job as an Alumni Discovery Ambassador, because it's not intuitive to know what a Discovery Ambassador does. So those are suggestions, they're not a template. Just recommend adding something, because if a recruiter is looking for you, this would be an experience that I think would be valuable. The other thing that most students aren't aware of is that within your profile, you can edit it to include projects, languages, publications, courses, test scores, organizations, patents, volunteering, and causes. That should be everything that you experience as a student that you would want another professional looking at. Especially, So again, as that makes sense for you, add those things, because that'll add to your profile. Other questions? Anything else? Nope. Okay, that's all I had.
Cool. Yeah.
Hey, Ryan. So, this is just an idea. I was at the job fair last Wednesday, and I was talking to